What's up? Welcome to my diary. I'm Tatami, and here we talk about whatever I want to. Today, I thought we might chit chat about Howie Hawkins and basically first impressions on him, which are very good, which are very, very good. Okay, if you like Bernie, y'all, but you felt like Bernie needed a little bit of bite, Howie Hawkins got a little bit of bite, y'all. I think it may be because he's not in the Democratic Party. It's probably because he's not in the Democratic Party. But y'all, he ain't afraid to call people by name out and be like, nope, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. You right there, you doing that. You, this person calling for this, no. And he's calling shit out by name. Let me get my kid. I don't know what they are up to. Screaming kid games. I don't know. Anyways, where was I? He just calls people out. I love it. I'm here for it. It's refreshing. It's refreshing to see somebody call people the fuck out. He's also super well read, well learned. I mean, it goes without saying that, you know, a lot of people would really like to go back to a president who cared about their country, who is really kind of like an American nerd. It really helps. It really helps for them to know the rules, to know what they're doing, to not be embarrassing themselves up on the podium. It really helps. And I think he really has that. He really has that. He has this really great... what was I going to say about him? I'll get to that later. Okay, anyways. Okay, we're going to just hop right into it. So I like that he called people out. I like that he knows what he's talking about. I also like that what he talks about are real issues affecting everyday people, issues that are typically ignored or brushed over as though unimportant. One issue that I really like that I've seen him talk about a couple times is the issue of inequality and how it impacts the entire community, because we have a whole hordes of people who have given up hope, who are now self-medicating, self-harming, committing suicide in droves. We have real issues there with the quality of life of the average American person. And because the inequality is just growing, you know, exponentially, we have this issue of people just not giving a fuck anymore. People just not wanting to put in the effort. People, there's just no love for themselves and for their lives. And so I thought it was very astute for him to get into it. And I thought it was also astute because the way Howie gets into it, it's like he just states the facts. It doesn't feel like he's stating it to be like, and I've brought up black people. And now I've brought up the opioid, you know, they're suffering in the opioid, you know, addiction in certain cities. It doesn't feel like he's bringing it up so that someone can note that he's brought it up. I feel like he brought it up very genuinely, similarly to the way I felt that Marianne Williamson last year brought up reparations very normally. She was like, no, this is a real issue, and I don't think it's ever going to be done until we fucking do it. And she's quite correct. She's quite correct. I heard white people were out there hoping for reparations from China for COVID. I'm like, the fact that reparations left your damn lips, knowing damn well that the slave owners got reparations, that Israel is still getting paid reparations from us for whatever reason, and yet and still we ain't got no reparations. So I'm just saying, like, anyway, my point is Marianne, I thought, brought it up very normally in a way that wasn't like, oh, I'm just trying to get the black vote. I think she genuinely thinks that's a serious issue that needs to be addressed now. And I was with her. I mean, you know, so with Howie, I think it's the same way. I think he genuinely thinks these things are an issue, not just because they're affecting those communities, but because they affect the greater community of America as a whole, which I think is his overall belief in a lot of things. I think, you know, individually, it doesn't seem like he's that invested in these communities. It's that he sees how it's all connected, and he understands that this part being weak absolutely affects the whole. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he has great love for people in the migrant camps, but I do think he understands that treating them humanely and putting them in safe places and making sure that it's not spreading rampantly between them and people in prison, same thing. I don't think he's really that invested in people in prisons, but I do think he understands most of the people in prisons are kind of just being held up there. And while we may be putting people out who deserve to be, you know, punished for longer, overall, it's for the greater good of everybody that we don't have pockets, hot spots of COVID virus. You know what I'm saying? So, I think he just really does recognize the way that all of these things connect together, which is very important. It's very important for somebody to be able to see that, because we often have people, this issue in America where it's like, oh, that's their problem, right? We have that happen within cities. We have it happening in between states, right? We had Mitch McConnell be like, oh, I don't want to be giving welfare to blue states. And then all the blue states had to be like, hold up, who's been putting in a surplus and which states take out? Because Kentucky, where you're from, takes and takes and takes, and we basically pay for Kentucky. We New York are carrying Kentucky on our back. So, we have all this like in between fighting, this interfighting that just occurs, and seeing how it actually understanding that it does all affect each other. It affects everybody when someone's racist. It affects everybody when someone's being like a cutthroat capitalist, ruining resources, overusing. It affects everybody when a billionaire hoards, you know what I'm saying? So I think Howie really gets that. One thing I really like about Howie is that he talks about the Green New Deal. And now that Bernie is out, nobody's talking about the goddamn Green New Deal. Nobody cares that the earth is going to burn. Nobody's taking it as a very serious sign that the earth is like unleashing this pandemic on our world, and that perhaps we should pay more attention to it. Perhaps we shouldn't live our lives, this Western lifestyle of faking that nature doesn't exist, or that we are not impacted by it, that it doesn't control a lot of what we do. So it really mind boggles me that he's the only one talking about the Green New Deal. But it's one of the main things that's drawing me towards him, is the fact that he does talk about it. He understands it in depth, and he understands the importance of continuing to do it. You know what I'm saying? That I think is one of the more important things that we need to be focused on in these upcoming stuff. I know everybody's really worried about these damn judges. I'm confused as to who it is they think Biden is going to be putting into the Supreme Court that is just this amazing, progressive, wonderful person. Because Biden himself isn't really like pro-choice like that. He's not really like for all of these fringe ideas. You know what I'm saying? He's systematically voted against so many things, like Social Security. He was practically a segregationist in his early career. I really honestly am confused as to what progressive, amazing judges people think Biden is going to be putting in anywhere anyways. My point is I don't see how people aren't panicking about the planet. It's very important to talk about the planet. It's very important to talk about America, especially because, look, we're using all these resources, but our country is going to shit during a pandemic. We use how many planets per person did that website say? America is overusing the planet. We will run out of planet resources by whenever, because we just use so damn much. All this stuff used, and we can't get cotton swabs. We can't get the basics. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what's this all been about? We need to focus on the planet. We need to focus on, eco-socialism, things that, Howie Hawkins is talking about these things, and that's what's really important. These are things that other people are just pretending don't exist, but he's talking the future. He's talking like really what we should be doing now, but probably what's going to happen when we've been dead 100 years. Sadly enough, it's the damn truth. All right. I also think Howie is on point because he happens, y'all, when I heard him say the word nuclear arms race, my jaw dropped, because seriously, I feel like no one is talking about the fucking nuclear mess. I started following it, I've always been semi-interested in nuclear stuff, just because, first off, I've always been very much against it as somebody who considers themselves trying to be an environmentalist, trying to be pro-earth. I've never really been a fan of nuclear stuff. I just don't see how it's worth the risk. Even though it's like, the risk is minuscule, there's all these things that can be had. I've seen the arguments about the benefits of nuclear, blah, blah, blah. There's still, when it goes bad, it goes so bad. Like, I just don't see the point. But here's the thing. I'm going to say this really simply, even though it's a way more complex than what I'm about to say. Just keep this in mind. So what we have with nuclear shit going down, nuclear weaponry, should I say, is that America had nukes, right? Other places have tried to build nukes. We've threatened them. Some of them have gone through and done it anyway. Some of them have backed down. The point is that America had the nukes, and in our alliances of who we align with in like Europe, basically, there was an agreement that basically we were the ones with the nukes. If you guys need nukes, we will nuke who you need to nuke because we are the ones with nukes and you guys can trust us, right? But because America's system is just so fragile, we're coming to find out this agreement of United States with the government is just so fragile. We just don't even know what to do when a pandemic goes down. We just don't even know what to do. And long before the pandemic, actually, it was around, I want to say, it probably started before Trump, but I mean, it went into full force when Trump got into office and people were just like, oh, that's who's in charge. And then he's playing around with all of the agreements. You know what I'm saying? Once you have somebody in office who delegitimizes everything, right? Because now we had those agreements. Oh, we'll help you if stuff goes down. But now we have a president. Every 4 years, we're going to switch, give or take. Every 4 to 8 years, we're going to switch. Who's crazy and doesn't want to uphold agreements. And in fact, doesn't want to listen to people in his face like, dude, these are the agreement. These are your allies. And in fact, our president will go off with random people who are dictators, who are supposed to be enemies, who we're supposed to be giving the cold shoulder to, the proverbial, talk to the hand to, because that's what the last president did in the last president. And 40 years ago, this shit went down. So we don't talk to them anymore. But he's making friends with those types of people because he don't know any better, right? So now all these other countries are like, oh, we can't trust America because usually y'all got somebody in a suit who's willing to play by the rules, but this time you don't. So now we really know we can't trust y'all because it's like, even if you get the next 15 guys are normal, there's always the chance that y'all are going to elect another Trump because you've shown your incompetence. So now what we got is a lot of people, we got enemies and we've got allies building up nuclear arms. This is not a joke. We are in 2020 talking about more nuclear arms racing, more building of nuclear weaponry, so that people can try and bomb each other, destroy the earth before the earth destroys us for destroying the earth, which we're already doing at a slow scale. But, nukes definitely have a way of speeding things up. And I think a lot of people are so detached from nukes. I mean, not nukes, bombs in general. Americans, we're very detached from them because we just don't have it happen here. So in our minds, it's like, oh, and then you just bomb them and it's over. But it's not over, right? The land is ruined. You can't just move back there and even rebuild the house. You can't go back there for years and years. It's destroyed. The land is destroyed. People can't live there anymore. So it's like the destruction of regular bombs is catastrophic. The idea of nuking places, of all these different countries getting up nukes, Russia, China, all throughout Europe. Don't forget, like they don't trust us no more because they seen what we're capable of. They're like, not a one of them trusts Trump to come to their rescue if some shit goes down. Now they got to build their own nukes. Now they got to build their own shit and make up their own alliances over there. So now what we have, these are the type of choices people don't realize. Like when you elect a leader, what happens, these chain of events. But then it's like, oh, like now these people are in rapid form trying to make nuclear race. And it's not just about Trump, but it is also like, it's like, oh, well, we can't trust them. We got to trust us. And so trusting ourselves is now doing all this stuff. And then it's like, it's a chain reaction because, then they see this person sees it happening. This person sees it happening. And so then everybody's like, now I got to do it. Now I got to do it. And so, that's what I'm saying. Now we got India's building their nukes. Everybody's building their goddamn nukes because they recognize it's like, if you don't have the nukes, you're the one SOL. You have to have the nukes to be able to shoot back the nukes, to be able to nuke, or else everybody's going down. So now everybody's got to have nukes. Howie's the only one talking about this, y'all. I just went on a 4-minute tangent on nukes. Howie's the only one talking about this crazy ass shit that's going down. He's the only one. I don't see how, again, same with the Green New Deal. I don't see how he's the only one talking about all these damn nukes that are being built. But somehow he's the only one talking about all these damn nukes being built. All right, what else do I have on my damn list? But yeah, they're modernizing nukes, y'all. They're modernizing the nukes. I'm like, of all the things that I thought were stupid and antiquated and left in the past because they were just so tragic and disgusting that we should never do it again, nukes were at the top of the list. I didn't even think we had to continue discussing it. But here we fucking are. Not only do we had so many nuclear power plant accidents, but we have had some serious tragedies with nuclear bombs that I think we all know and should not repeat. But here we are, some of our children are likely going to have to live through another experience, such as seeing somebody get nuked or being nuked themselves. He's also somebody who responds. I think he's somebody who reads what you write. He's somebody who likes some comments, leaves some comments. He has ways to contact him that make him feel a little more accessible than other politicians. And I do feel that coming to with him on that, with somebody who's willing to listen and willing to change what they're thinking based on that, which I've seen through comments, people say that as well. I think that's a really powerful thing for him to have too. And somebody who's willing to listen is really important, because I've noticed that that's one thing with Bernie is like, even when a lot of shit is going down, it takes a lot for him to change and be swayed. And especially with all the stuff with like his teams having to abandon him, his teams two different presidential elections, whole different teams having to threaten and leverage their jobs working for him to get him into some kind of action for something. One, to not be corrupt, and the other, I think they're just trying to get him to do stuff, you know. And that's my other point, is Howie is still speaking solutions. Bernie, for all his revolution talk, isn't trying to continue the revolution. It doesn't seem like he's appointing someone to take his place. It doesn't seem like he's really trying to continue the movement in a solid way. It feels like it's showing like a lot of people are trying to beg him to do that. Whereas Howie sees that there's real issues that are occurring, whether or not anything about his stats. He understands that there is an issue that does need to be addressed, and that the working class people are looking for that. So yeah, he's the only one really speaking solutions at this time. Like I said, Biden's not really speaking. Trump is just, y'all, I heard somebody on like the Jimmy, what's his name? Jimmy Dore or something like that show. And then this guy was going off, and he was just like, of course he said to drink bleach. He's the village idiot. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's so true. We've got the village idiot just hoping a miracle cure pops up at any time. And we've got Biden, who's being held away until they can like get something out of him that's like decent footage, and then he can basically blah blah his way through a speech, say nothing, a bunch of platitudes, a bunch of repeating what we've all heard on the news for the last 2-3 weeks. Blah, 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 gotta do this, Trump is bad, and then that's it. That's all we ever get from Biden. Bernie's out, he's just giving the fuck up and is, you know, riding the dick of the establishment until he dies. So, I mean, at this point, Howie's the only one that I'm really seeing with the platform, with the policies that I think people who are into Bernie would be interested in. And people who are progressives, people who are looking for change, people who are looking to help the planet, as well as people of color, poor people, working class people. I think Howie's really where it's at. I think he's got a good head on his shoulders, and I'm really starting to like him. What do you think? Are you going for Green Party, or have you been looking into Howie Hawkins? Do you have anybody else on your radar that you think I should check out? And yeah, but he's the only one that I'm really feeling at this moment. So we'll see. At any rate, I'll see you next video. May your ancestors and spirit guides be with you at every crossroads. I gotta go to my kids.